Hi everyone, and welcome to another A and B Horror Movies video. I'm Aaron,
I'm Ben.
and today we're very excited to be joined by Damian McCarthy. Damian, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
We can't
Thank
wait to
you.
chat with
Oh,
you. Yes, thank you. So you are a director, a writer, a producer. You wrote and directed Caveat, the terrifying film that's on Shudder, and it's still streaming on Shudder. One of my favorite Shudder films. We can't wait to chat with you about that. And
Great.
you also have a new film that's coming out very soon called Oddity. So
Mhm.
we'll maybe ask a few questions about that one too. But let's get right into it. Ben, do you want to ask the first question?
yeah. I suppose the first question would be, how did it all come about? Where did the idea come from for the story and stuff, really?
Yeah, so I had been making short films for years and always wanted to make a feature film. And the short films had done great with film festivals, and I got to travel around and won a few awards. But it was really just to try to make that leap to a first feature film, which is so difficult, and I don't think I knew how difficult it was going to be. So I had been writing all the time, um, writing very simple horror films that I thought, well, I'm going to write around what I know, write around stuff that I have access to without writing anything that was going to be too complicated or expensive to do, or even too challenging in terms of performance. Because my short films, I'd used a lot of people I know or friends or non-actors. So with Caveat, I had been contacted by a producer in London, who was starting to get into filmmaking as well, like myself. And I had this script, and the script was much, much more elaborate than what turned out to be Caveat. And we spent about a year just trying to get that film made. We did a proof of concept short, which is just more to show kind of how we work together and, to kind of get a feel of the horror across in it. Um, but still, and we were after, I think, about 250,000, but nobody would give us the money for this. I mean, even with like a track record of making short films, still other things were more, I guess, other things were more like a safe bet or a safe investment than film. And I think it's even the guerrilla filmmakers, that old handbook for making movies, has said that your investment strategy should come with a skull and crossbones at the top of it because it's so high risk. Um, so we tried for about a year or so to get this film going and to get this script made, and nobody was interested basically. And that was it. We said, well, that's like our one go of trying to make a film. Walked away from it. I went back to work. My day job was work as an electrician. And a couple of months later, he got in touch to say, well, look, we can't really raise the money, but we could raise a very small amount of money, thousands. And we said, like, but is there anything we could make for that? Well, there was no way we could make the script that we had with everything in it. And I said,
Mhm.
well, like, I could kind of write something new, or kind of strip back a lot of this stuff and just write something that you could really fit for that budget. So it was a real kind of a panic writing for 2 months, just trying to write something very, very fast that would fit for that money. And it would have to be written around everything that I knew I knew a place where I could film, or I knew a place where I could build. I'd know somebody that could build it.
Mhm.
Um, Everything it all had to be kind of figured out essentially myself. Like how would you make a script for such a small budget?
Yeah.
So we did it. The script was done. Basically, just went into pre-production. Went into pre-production. So we were in pre-production, just building sets and getting actors, props, this kind of thing for maybe 6 months or so. Um, Shot it over a month, and then spent about 2 years, I think, in post-production. It
Oh
was just
gosh.
like it's. I mean, all this stuff is, we can get into it in more detail, but it's not the way to make a film at all, because if you're looking at the same footage for 2 years, the film stops making sense, and you really start to dislike it as well. You see all of the things that you should have done. And it was a case of, like,
I
because
can
I
imagine. Yeah.
tough, because I'd work for a little bit, my day job, and then I'd go back and I'd edit, and then I'd go back to my day job and edit again. And I ended up getting help from my parents, who were very supportive of it. Um and then getting into the sound design, which is just, every weekend was just listening to, trying to come up with sound design, and trying to make this thing sound as creepy as it could. So it was a very,
Yeah.
very long road, and a very long answer to your question as well.
No, that was
That's
perfect.
a good answer.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to add, I know I mentioned this before we started recording, that both Ben and I love the film. We're huge fans. Um, terrifying. Whenever I talk to
Brilliant.
another horror fan, I always
Mm.
recommend this movie on Shudder.
Mm.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It took me a while to get round to watch it. And Aaron kept saying, "You got to watch this film. You got to watch this film." So I finally got round to watching it, and yeah, it was a wicked film.
Yeah, it's so
That's
good.
great.
Yeah.
I'm because I mean the film was so hard to make. I'm really genuinely happy when people do find it and they enjoy it. And I always think the criticisms that I read of the film too, or that I get for it, that like it's a one that seems to keep coming back. So it's quite a slow build up to all of the horror being at the end, and that really seems to work with some people. It's like, well, that's what I liked about it. I like the fact that you're
Yeah.
kind of waiting for so long for something to happen, and then it all seems to
Yes.
kick off in those last 15 minutes. And then other people say, like, I like the fact that it's so slow and you don't know where it's going, and then you get to the end. But a lot of that, I mean, if I could remake the film, I mean, I definitely would. If I could like I had written like a prequel to it, which then kind of corrected all of the things I'd like to have done. But again, all this is just such a learning curve. I mean, it's just from writing a script way too fast, and scripts need to be written and then left alone for a while, and you come back to them and pick them up again and then leave them alone again. I found that with Oddity and with other things I'm writing now. But Caveat, it was just this mad dash to get something written very fast.
Yes.
Well,
Yes. And
I'd say, sorry, Aaron.
go ahead.
The slow burn, if it is a slow burn film and it's still really entertaining, then you've done a brilliant job, because I've watched a few films that are slow burn, and I've like Aaron, I said to Aaron before, I was so excited for that new film, Late Night with the Devil. Slow burning, it sort of carried you, and I was liking it. And then the ending kind of killed it for me, where with Caveat, it was all the way, and it wasn't a disappointment at the end. So well done with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I really liked Late Night with the Devil as well. I thought it was a brilliant film. It's just there's nothing like it. Even the way they shot it and the whole, it's a feeling with it's a real feeling to that film when you're watching it. It was great.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I prefer the end of the Caveat. I must admit.
Yeah, well, and I want to point out that, and I do have a question for you. But I saw that Shudder in the US is promoting it again. It's in the top banner. I saw the Caveat
Oh, really?
show up. So
cool.
yeah,
Oh,
get
fantastic.
even a bigger audience, hopefully.
Great.
So
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the rabbit, because it's probably the most terrifying little toy rabbit. Ben, did I steal your question?
No, I just want to know where we can get one.
Oh yeah, where can we get one? A bobblehead would be cool.
It would be, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
A tumbler. Yeah, we can put you in touch with a few people we know. What was my question? How did that come about? What was the process like? Was this rabbit created solely for the film? How did
Yeah.
like the artistry? How did that happen?
Yeah, so the idea was I just like haunted objects in stories and in my own scripts. They always seem to creep in there. Oddity is all about haunted objects. But with the bunny, with the drumming bunny, it was this idea that it would that it could lead you to places. It's for me, it's the spirit of this woman that's been murdered, and she's trying to communicate through this bunny. So there's a very talented prop maker, costume designer. She works in theater and film here in Cork, called Lisa Zagon, and I had brought her. I had a go trying to make it myself. First of all, it was terrible. I bought just an old drumming bunny online. I stripped it and took all the skin off it, and I just tried to put it on, put fur and things like this on myself, but it was terrible. It looked like an Ewok from Star Wars. It was very cute. There was nothing kind of.
Do you still have it? If you do, send a
No,
picture. Maybe we'll
I
add
have
it in.
I have pictures of it somewhere, but yeah, I'm trying to track it down now. But I brought her what I'd done, but I said this is terrible, and I had brought like images of just old kind of antique wind up toys that I thought looked old, very that they'd been around a while. And I think a lot of the kind of references we use were like is it Svankmajer's Alice in Wonderland movie? We what is it? Jim Henson's Dream Child was a big one. Um, it's he does like it's like an Alice in Wonderland where Alice meets this the Mad Hatter and the rabbit, but the rabbit in that is terrifying. And I always thought that's a really good kind of
Yeah.
take-off point to design it. So Lisa took it away, and I think like 2 weeks later she came back with that finish, and she was like, "How's about this?" I was like, "Oh my God, that's perfect." So
It's
um,
fantastic.
that's it. So I'd have to
You
put a lot of the
kind of see it right there.
a little bit, yeah. He's a lot. They've given him a bit of a makeover there. He's young and he still has all his hair. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I
Makes
thought
me
it was
think of,
quite cool.
although when she made it, he did still have all of the hair on him, but it took so long to get financing that it fell out by the time we actually got around to filming it.
even better.
Cool, though. It was like your take on the sort of the monkey with the symbols, really.
Yeah.
And I thought it was quite, yeah, I thought it was really cool. So yeah, that was a nice job with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I had made a short film years ago that had it was called Hatch, and it was about this guy who lays an egg and then he takes the egg to the pub to watch what's going to hatch. But up on the bar there was a symbol monkey and a little an old antique rabbit that a wind up toy that I'd found online. That's kind of where the idea kicked off as well, because as this thing starts hatching, these two objects, these two old ornaments up on the shelf of the bar, they start drumming and banging the cymbals to show that this thing is coming, and
Something's coming. Oh,
kind of
cool.
grew from that. Yeah, yeah.
Wicked.
Cool.
Um, a big part, and I'll say a massively big part of this film that gives it its atmosphere is the claustrophobic
Hmm.
feel to it.
Mhm.
Was your location for that? That must have been a big part of that, was it? Because the location was brilliant. Was that like made, or was that just an old house that you found?
I think it was 70% of it was sets. That it was
Oh,
I think
really?
the kitchen, I think only the kitchen and maybe one other room. I think mainly the kitchen, possibly one other room. Well, the exterior of the house and I think the bathroom. I think they exist. They were just all locations that we had on
Yeah,
one side of this courtyard where we built the sets, but then on the other side, all the main stuff like the bedroom and the bedroom, the bathroom, the hallway, all this that was all sets, but it was all built intentionally to have that kind of claustrophobic feel and to have this had to have this kind of feel of like an old house that's just been hammered by the Atlantic and the winds for years and years on this island.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, but it was very, very much intentional. And again, just because we didn't have any money, so you're trying to keep the camera close and keep the set small, just to
Did
make this guy feel like he's under pressure. Yeah.
did it feel quite claustrophobic filming in those spaces, or?
Oh yeah, it was a nightmare. Yeah. I mean, like we I guess the one thing about it is where we shot it, it was quite a big room. It had been like an old renovated what do you call it, like exhibition center. So overhead there was this big walkway overhead, and it had quite a high ceiling. So from this walkway, at least you're able to get out of the sets for a while and get up and get some air and kind of look down at things. But yeah, for the most part, it was not a great way to film. I would design sets differently if I was to do it again.
Wow,
It's
that's awesome. And it
effective.
really, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
I was just saying it was really effective. Anyway, it was wicked. Looked
Oh,
brilliant.
thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, the claustrophobic atmosphere. It's very well done. Very well done.
Thank you.
Let's see. Johnny French and Layla Sykes are the leads. Can you say a little bit about the casting process to work with them? They're both fantastic. And yeah, so what was it like working with them, and how did they come about getting the lead roles?
Well, the lead role was, I mean, Jonathan has quite good he's got a good story on that as well. I let him tell it sometime. It's just that he had just dropped out of a part like the day before, and and then I called him the next day about this. I think it was a short film he was doing. Then I called him the next day about Caveat, and he didn't believe it was. I think he thought it was somebody messing with him. But so we had again we had cast. I think we cast Ben Kaplan first. Ben played Mo, and Ben was brilliant. And Ben probably had the most experience of a lot of people just on the production in general. You know, he'd been in Band of Brothers and done a lot of theater work, and
Yes, yes.
Called Midwife. Ben was brilliant to work with, just really lots of good ideas and just very funny as well behind the camera.
And he
Uh,
plays Mo, right? Is that
he
his?
plays Mo. He's
He's
our
played Mo.
villain. Yeah.
He's the villain. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I had cast another actor. And again, he's like myself. He hadn't really done anything. He'd done a few short films and kind of starting out. And we had him cast, and it looked like everything was fine. And I think we had like the sets were built, and we had I think 2 weeks to go or something like this. And he called and just said, no, I'd like a lot more money. We didn't have any money, and he was like a lot more. If the film ever did make money, he wanted a big profit out. I was like, oh my God, like we had none of this, you know. So it was asking for things that we just didn't have, and I wasn't sure if this was like nerves on his behalf, on his part, you know, like maybe trying to get himself out of it. But we basically couldn't give him what he was asking for at all. So we said, okay. So there was this frantic search just to try to find somebody for the role of Isaac, the main role. And it's just so stressful when I think back about it. But just going on casting websites for, you know, actors kind of starting out, or people who've been in short films or smaller parts. And I
Mhm.
just saw Jonathan's Jonathan French's show reel and a few like headshots and stuff like this. And like, well, he looks fantastic, you know. So he need this big, you know, brilliant beard. And I said, like, well, even if he can act maybe I can shape the performance in the edit or something. But thankfully I didn't need to, because he was so
Perfect.
good. He
Yeah,
was
he
so
was
nice to
good.
work with. So that's so he really, you know, he got us out of a jam for sure, because when I talked to him, he was really nice, very talented. And when I watched the film now, I can't imagine anybody else in it. Like,
Mhm.
he's so good in it. And I'm always really like, it's really great when I read reviews and they praise his performance, and how they kind of really want this guy to escape the house. And then with Lila, the producer on the film, had made a short film with her before I met her. She was very nice, very talented, really got the script, lots of good ideas, and she came on board then as well. So yeah, that you
Oh,
know,
awesome.
yeah,
Great. It
all
all
worked.
came together. The stars aligned.
It did. And then my friend Inma Pavone played the dead mother who always gets credit. But I made a short film with her, but she's like, in real life, if you know her, she's very physical. She's very strong. She's like a ballet dancer, and she's like a yoga teacher, and she's all these, you know, she's very, very healthy. And then I have her playing a corpse where she doesn't move at all, and she's this expert with her body and her movement, and she's just this
And
dead body for the
oh
whole
my
movie.
gosh. So what does she think about her very creepy non-moving part in the film?
She always gets a laugh out of it. I mean,
Yeah, that's cool.
I think when the film had come out, she had been sending me pictures of her like watching it with her friends, and you know,
Oh, that's awesome.
she's hilarious.
Yep. Yep.
You said like the way you built the sets, you
Yeah.
do differently again, and like with location and stuff. What was the most difficult part of filming with all that?
In terms of the sets,
Yeah, and locations and stuff.
the location was great because it was Bantry House in West Cork where we shot it, and they'd given us the run of the stables at the back. So the space was fine to work in, even though once the set had gone in there was no way to really step out of the set. You know, the set completely filled it from wall to wall, just because the room itself was too nice to shoot in. Um, Probably the difficult thing with the actual, I suppose, it was the real building of the sets and just getting the material. Again, there was such little money. We were going out to landfills and crawling over piles of rubbish and just stealing all rotten timber. And it really was a beg, borrow, steal kind of a thing
Yeah.
to get sets built. But as my best friend is a very talented actor, or very, I say he's an actor. He's been in my first few short films, but he's a really talented carpenter, and he'll hold me to that now if he sees this. And he basically built all of these things on his own.
Oh, okay.
You know, like everybody tried to get stuck in and to help, but all those frames and getting those walls up and the floors down, yeah, I really have to give him a lot of
Cool.
credit and thanks for that.
Yeah, no,
Awesome.
it looked good, especially with the chain and like the not the straight jacket, but it was like whatever the kind of
Hmm.
jacket was. That was pretty cool. It seemed
Yeah.
like the house was one big place you filmed, so yeah, it did look
Yeah.
awesome.
The
Mhm.
chain was a tricky one. I think that was probably a problem for our sound recordist Hugo. I just worked with Hugo again on Oddity, and just the best sound recordist around. I mean, we didn't have to do any ADR. Everything was just, his sound is so clean. But that chain, I think, was definitely an issue, because every time Jonathan moves, he's dragging this chain behind him. So imagine if you're a sound recordist, you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
this is going to cause you such
Got it.
problems in post production. So he
Yeah.
was continuously running in off camera, like putting down carpet. And so I think there's a lot of the film, if the camera was ever just to tilt down, you just see all this carpet rolled out behind the actor with this chain. But Hugo was really good like that. And kind of very helpful to me too, in terms of like, just, you know, if he's walking and talking, you're gonna run into problems afterwards with sound, because he's making so much noise. You've got even the leather itself is creaking and stretching. So no, again, you know, it's these kind of people that you try to hang on to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Keep him close.
Yeah.
Well, before we talk about Oddity, I just want to say one more time, if you haven't seen Caveat, check it out on Shudder. Get a physical copy.
Definitely go and watch
Great film. It'll stay with you. Watch it at night with the lights out. You'll be terrified. So let's talk a little bit about Oddity, your brand new film, which I hear is doing very well at festivals. Congratulations there. I understand that there's a wooden mannequin in it, and you mentioned maybe some other haunted artifacts. What can you tell us about your new film?
So it's I'm so bad at pitching my movies. I always say this. So I guess it's like a ghost story revenge movie. This a collector of haunted items. Her sister was murdered a year ago, and she's, through a few items that were related to the murder, she's figured out that's all's not what it seems. And with this wooden man that she has, she decides to go back to where her sister was killed, and possibly take revenge, or solve this murder. It's a lot better than the way I pitch it, but it has played really well. There's a lot of, like, we've got a great ensemble cast in it, and a lot of strange characters. And what I kind of like about it, and I guess what I tried to do, is that it's a little bit of a mix of different subgenres of horror. Like, there is a bit of I suppose, a little bit of a home invasion aspect to it. There's definitely a strong ghost story element, you know, psychological horror. Uh, you know, it has worked nicely. I'm very relieved that it's has played as well as it has now with audiences, and that they've it hasn't kind of thrown them out tonally. It's not like, well, this film is just changing gear into different things too often. It has. I'm delighted with how it's gone down so far.
That's so cool. And I know you
That
said
one.
it'll maybe come to Shudder at some point.
And yeah, it's a show. I
Hopefully.
mean, Shutter were fantastic to work with. I mean, it was them
Mhm.
that got Oddity out to the world, or sorry, that got Caveat out to the world. So yeah, it's been brilliant working with them again. And right from the start with the script, they were like, I mean, Sam Zimmerman and Emily Gatto at Shutter, they've got such good horror minds. Do you know, like, they're the genuine horror
Yes.
horror filmmakers. Like, you know, they really kind
Yeah.
of get this stuff. So even from the script at the start, they were brilliant collaborators, and they've been so behind the film. So for me, I'm just like, we're just back from South by Southwest. But it's such a relief that it
That's
has
so cool.
played well, and that you see them happy as well, because they're kind of going like, well, they've all this belief in you, so you kind of go, well, I want the film to, you know, to work for them as well, obviously. But we got the audience award, which was fantastic. So you know,
Oh,
so
that's
far,
amazing. Wow,
yeah.
congratulations.
Thanks very much.
We can't wait to see it. Keep us updated on progress when it launches, or if you have any
Yeah,
information. We'll
thank you.
definitely share it with our viewers and on Instagram and other social media. Get the word out there. We'll definitely check it out. So
Right.
we can't wait for that. Let's switch gears a little bit. We do have two
Sure.
questions from previous guests we've had on, and then we're going to do another this or that section, but we'll get to that shortly. Ben, do you want to ask the first question
Yeah,
from
cool.
Jed?
This is from Jed Shepherd, writer and producer of The Host and Dashcam.
Right.
He said, "What are the pros and cons of making horror on this side of the Atlantic?" And he asked us to tell you to give him a shout out when you're next in London for a coffee.
Oh, yeah, I'm there. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'd like to pick his brain on a few things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. So I guess I don't have any comparison really. I've only made two feature films, made a lot of short films, but everything I've made has been over here. I mean, we have fantastic crews. We've got great actors, both in the UK and Ireland. Um, Let's see. I suppose one thing, pros and cons of. Sorry, what was the question again? The pros and cons of making something on this side of the
What are the
Atlantic?
pros and cons of making a horror on this side of the Atlantic?
Yeah. I guess I don't really have any comparison. I suppose one thing that even talking to a lot of producers since Oddity and during Caveat a little bit as well was that sometimes you worry that maybe a film wouldn't travel, that it would still
Yeah.
be classed as like
Mm.
you know, because I guess the main market really is America and I guess anything that's coming in, you'd maybe look at it as it's still a foreign film, and you'd worry, well, is the accent going to travel? Even if you've got the best, you know, the best actors, is that accent still going to get across, or is it going to be will people connect with it? I have heard people voice that concern that like it would be better if you had an American cast in it because it'll travel easy. I don't really know if that's true anymore because even with the last years, even like Talk to Me is this Australian horror movie, and it's
I think if you change
fantastic.
the yeah, I think if you changed it, it would take away
Hmm.
what the film gives to you. So
That's true. Yeah, maybe it's a pro. Maybe it's that it's actually a benefit in some ways if people aren't if the film seems you know that it's clearly from overseas that maybe there's a bit of a yeah maybe it works for the story as well because it makes it that bit more unfamiliar or something. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's a good point. I think it's perfect as it is. I wouldn't change it. And
definitely.
there's always subtitles if you can't understand what they're saying.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jed. Next question is from David A. Roberts. He is the director and writer of Older Gods, which is a Lovecraftian horror film, one to see. He said, you learned so much when producing your first feature film, lessons that no one taught you in film school, and problems that didn't occur when working on shorts or commercials. What are
Hmm.
the biggest or most unexpected lessons you learned after your first film that most affected or helped your direction and your follow-up film? And then he said, congrats on your new film Oddity and good luck on its release.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Um, Well, let me see. So I would think that probably the biggest lesson with this was the script. I think the script, get the script right. It's just like, because I mean, I wrote Caveat so fast when this small budget came available, and it was really out of fear of losing that budget. By the time you get on set, you see then all the problems that you have with the script, and then definitely when you get into the edit, you see all your. I mean, Caveat was very heavily rewritten and restructured in the edit. That's definitely for me the main thing. I would have seen that going into Oddity that I would have spent a lot more time on Oddity script and really just making sure everything lines up. And if something is mentioned, it needs to pay off. Stuff that seems so basic, but just when you write something too fast, you can trip up a little bit. Another one as well, I think, with the script, having made Caveat and now having Oddity and writing other scripts, is that all of my scenes were way too long. They were all like, I think you were heading like into 7, 8 pages. Every scene, just every dialogue scene seemed to be this long. And it was this continuous thing where like when I was editing it, then it was like, well, when I get about halfway through this scene, I'm out. So I'm done. I've gotten across the information now. They're still going. And I read it in too late. It was some screenwriter, can't remember who it was now, but he said that when you're writing your scripts, that really no scene should be longer than 4.5 minutes. And he said it's like a rule for him that seems to work. And that's about four or 5 pages.
Yeah, yep.
Obviously there's loads of films that they can have a 20-minute dialogue scene and it's amazing. But just for me, I found that was a huge lesson that I would have learned between the two movies. Keep every scene as short as you possibly can. Yeah.
Kind of tightens it up a little bit more, right? Makes it
Yeah.
gets to the point and then gets out and gets to the next. Keeps it
Yeah.
moving. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ab-
Awesome answers, I should say. So
Mhm.
let's this is gonna be kind of fun. We're gonna do another this or I say another. This is our second time doing a this or that piece at the end.
Okay.
Essentially, we're just gonna ask you two things and you just choose one, whatever comes to mind first, and
Okay.
we'll see how it goes. Ben, do you want to do
Mhm.
the first one or do you want me? We'll try to do it
Yeah.
rapid fire.
Art the Clown or Victor Crowley?
Victor Crowley.
Let's see, binge watch or spread out over time?
Binge watch.
Chucky or Puppet Master?
Chucky.
That's awesome. Streaming or physical media?
Ooh. Physical media.
We support that.
Killer rabbits or rabid dogs?
Killer rabbits, of course.
Of course, right? Zombies or vampires?
Zombies.
Daytime or nighttime horror?
Ooh. Daytime.
Good. Oh, I was so caught up. Creature feature or body horror?
Creature feature. Yeah.
Stephen King or Clive Barker?
Stephen King.
And last one, Jaws or Halloween 78?
Jaws.
Two for you, Ben, I think. Jaws is Ben's favorite movie and Halloween is mine. So
Really? Okay.
we always throw that in.
That is a tough call. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
maybe it's
That's
because I
fine.
can see Jaws so prominently in the background. Yeah.
Subliminal
Yeah, that's
messages right
important.
there, right there.
Need a bigger Halloween poster.
If you put up a big Halloween poster, you would have got it, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe next time I'll rearrange the background.
The advertisement I've watched, that is.
I have one last question that actually just occurred to me. So you're obviously a horror fan like us.
Yeah.
Is there a subgenre of horror that you haven't done yet that you would like to explore in a future film?
I
Like
tried to get a lot of that out of my system in a way with Oddity because I think it's such a mix of lots of different types of scares.
Cool.
I can't think off the top of my head now. It seems to be always kind of supernatural hauntings that even if I think of the next few films I'd like to make, they all seem to be always it's always a haunted house or something haunted. It seems to be the thing. Whereas I do love slasher movies and zombie movies and all of these, but it's like I'd question how good I'd be at making one myself, you know. It's like I think I like watching them, but sometimes would I be any good at actually making something like that? Whereas kind of
That
ghosts
makes
and
sense.
supernatural stuff, I think I'm pretty comfortable with.
Well, you have a very good eye for capturing what is scary, at least with Caveat, and it sounds like with Oddity as well. I think you'd be really good if you tried a found footage film. Maybe something to just
Yeah,
to throw out a suggestion.
it's tricky one to get right. There are some good ones. It's like I think not that I move the camera a whole lot. I mean, I'm quite static with my shots, but
Mhm.
I think my films move in the edit in terms of like wides and close-ups and stuff like this. But with that, I think it's a different, it's
Shape,
almost like a different skill.
different style, but
Yeah, 'cause trying to really pick your one angle and let that cover everything. There's an act to it for sure.
mhm.
Skinnamarink got away with it, so.
Marink, yeah, my God, what a film.
Yeah.
That's such a
That's what
anybody I've talked to about that, it's like, and I have that thing as well, where it's like I watch the film, and I mean it is a slow movie,
Mhm.
but it really got under my skin anyway, because even I remember like going to bed afterwards, and for a few nights I was like going, oh man, that film is still with me, you know. It's a very odd movie. So curious to see what he'll do next.
Mhm.
Well, I liked it because I always say to Aaron, I'm kind of a fan of less is more. Sometimes the less you don't see, and that I quite like that with Caveat. It was like you didn't get to see loads, but the rabbit was enough to keep you like there waiting for. And then when you did finally catch a glimpse of something,
Yeah.
it was really sort of surprising. And I remember
Yes.
rewinding it, going, "I just see
Huh.
like
What did I just see?
yeah." So yeah, that was
Yes.
wicked.
And I love
Yeah,
that the rabbit has almost like human eyeballs. It makes it even more
Yeah.
more scary,
That's
I guess.
I gotta give that credit to Lisa for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Fine.
You were saying earlier about like people were saying about maybe having American actors, or is it different with having like English or Scottish? I kind of thought when I watched Caveat that felt like to me like this side of the pond's version of, in a way, what's the film? James Wan with the haunted house. I should know that. I like it. The kind of,
Oh,
Conjuring?
yeah, I kind of thought it was like our side over this side's version of that, which
Hmm.
was
Interesting comparison. Yeah, I mean, it's again.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, I wish. Yeah, it's a high praise there. That's a high. That's a high bar he set.
That's I've discussed with
Yeah,
somebody, and that's what we sort of thought
right.
anyway. So.
Oh, that's
Well,
so
I guess
cool.
it's that kind of it's a kind of old worn location, and yeah, I suppose there's a few set pieces in it. Yeah, I suppose not a bad comparison. I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we, as you know, we're fans. We could talk all afternoon, but we
Yeah.
don't want to keep you much longer. I guess my last question is, how can folks find you on social media? Easy one.
I have Instagram, I have one a neglected Instagram page that I randomly go onto. But I'll try to get better with it now yeah, I'm not very good at social media. I'll try to, just share things out, obviously, as Oddity starts coming out. So how's the movie going on Instagram? I'm quite easy to find anyway. Damian McCarthy.
Yeah, you should definitely share the news as it comes out.
I will. And if you guys, once you see Oddity, if you like it, we could talk again.
We would love
Brilliant.
that. Yes, that
Awesome.
would be
Yeah.
amazing. And maybe some of the cast or some of the other folks that you worked with, the
Yeah.
Sure.
the folks
See
you
if we
work
can
could
tag
have
him
a large Zoom meeting. Let's
in.
do it.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much. This has been fantastic. I was so looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah,
But with that, Ben, do you want to do the quick closing?
Yeah, before that, I just want to say big thanks for coming on, and good luck with the new film, and congrats with Caveat, because it was a wicked film. If there is anything with this rabbit that we can buy at any point, please let us know, because it's a wicked piece. And go to Instagram, ABRs over there, follow us over there, follow us on what we on YouTube, and yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Cheers, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.